What we're really asking for white people to do is step down from power. And they're deeply, deeply resistant to that idea, because why would you want to step down from power? That's a hard ask. I'm not making white people off the hook, but it's a hard ask to challenge someone to say, you've been in this position for how long? Will you give half of your resources?
You need to get out of the street immediately.
I don't feel you.
I said indict, convict, send that killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
My father, who raised me out in Cullors, he would say goodbye. He would give the Black Power fist. For a long time, I had no idea what it was. I just copied it, right? And then as I got older and started learning about the Panther Party and the work that they did, I realized how deeply political that my own sort of roots were. And I would come to find out the brutal reality of law enforcement and prisons and jails, because I would see it and experience it in my own daily life growing up as a raised poor young Black girl in Los Angeles. And instead of saying I'm going to get out, I decided I wanted to work with the people. I wanted to build our power. Our movement is decentralized and largely autonomous. We don't have a single leader. We have multiple people trying to push a new vision for Black people and Black lives. Our movement uplifts the voices and experiences of Black women, Black trans people, queer people, undocumented Black folks that have been convicted, currently incarcerated Black people. Our movement is looking at all Black lives. And our movement is trying to be explicitly global. It isn't about lifting up individual voices. It's about building the power of the people that are most marginalized, most impacted by state violence and criminalization. We've received a significant amount of criticism, mostly from Black men, about how we co-opted the movement and created a gay agenda. That's pretty disturbing, given that we are some of the architects of this movement. We get to be our full selves, and we must talk about all Black lives. We don't want to make the mistakes of our elders and of our ancestors that marginalized Black people. I think part of what whiteness does is it allows you to deny, to look away from, and to refuse the idea that racism is as bad as it is. In the United States, we just elected a white supremacist. Black people didn't elect a white supremacist, white people did. And those white liberals who didn't elect him, I truly believe they didn't think that there were still white people en masse that would elect a president like Donald Trump. White people didn't listen. I think they thought we were being hyperbolic. We're not being hyperbolic, and now we are seeing the repercussion of not organizing against Donald Trump. It's not actually just about privilege. If it was just about privilege, I actually think white people would be able to understand it more. It's that white people are in power. And when you start to interrupt people's power, it really does a number on them. Because what it does, it's like they start to question, well, do I not deserve to be here? Well, why are you calling me out? The questions they should be asking are, how do I step aside so that someone else can join me in power, right, or be in power? The questions white people should be asking is, how does hundreds of years of wealth allow me to be in power? But that's not the questions they're going to ask themselves, because it makes them have to come to terms with the realities that they are in the position they're in because of historical racism. So I actually want to challenge us sort of in our social justice world to talk about privilege, but we must also talk about power. We have changed American culture, and we've changed the global culture around how it understands Blackness. This is a revival of a Black Renaissance. The country is grappling with anti-Black racism. We made some of the biggest headlines over the last 3 years. And I think that's so important. And just as much as it becomes trendy to talk about Black Lives Matter, it will also become untrendy. And it is our job to keep the conversation of Blackness on the tongues of people across the world. Racism is new, actually. It's 550 years old. It's going to take some centuries, but I think just as much as we learned it, we can unlearn it.